Matt Chan had a lot of soul. He could be bold and brash, with a biting sense of humor that often included the word "we."
His observations about people and things and events were just so spot on.
Hey, partner, you're a little fella. Why don't you sit in that middle seat there and give us all some elbow room? Yeah, elbow room.
He says all the things that people are thinking, but he does it in a way that is like chastising, but also like poking fun at it.
And I look up at him and I say, no, speak English.
The people that he cared about the most were the people that I think he gave the most shit to.
For all of his bravado and professional success, Matt cared most about family, friendship, and giving back to his community.
His ambition and drive to kind of not just prove himself, but make a space for people to feel safe and feel comfortable, to have some ownership over their stories and that kind of thing. That was what really motivated him.
Matt was born and raised in Portland, Oregon. He and sister Madeline were fourth-generation Chinese Americans, the kids of Rosie and Art Chan. After high school, he attended the University of Oregon, where he first thought about being a geologist.
Well, there's that Asian thing, right? Become an engineer, do this and that, and said, I am never going to be as into this as these guys are. At that point, I says, I'm going to go look for something.
So he pursued a career in television. Matt started out at Oregon Public Broadcasting, then moved to Seattle and King Television. After a year, he was recruited to San Francisco, where he became a top-notch editor before heading into producing and eventually into management. It was in San Francisco that he met his wife, Guy.
First date with Matt is definitely memorable. I didn't know him well, only knew him for about 2 weeks, and he didn't have a date for the Emmys. And he asked me to go, if I would be interested in going, and I said yes. Well, Matt was up for 2 categories, one for editing at the very top of the program. He was a shoo-in. He knew he was going to get that Emmy. It would be his first Emmy. He did not get that Emmy for the editing. So he started drinking. So by the end of the program, several pages later in the program, he was totally blasted, drunk. And I'm looking at him as my date. Then when it came to the category of producer, he won. And he was stunned. He thanks me. He didn't even know me. So I thought, okay, this is good. Maybe there's a future here. Here it is. It's really heavy. And he was holding it around like this. And so I thought, oh my gosh, okay, with this guy, our life will not be normal, but I don't want a normal life. So it was cool. It's been great.
So Matt came into my life when I was 4.5 years old. That's when my mom and him started dating. So I was Matt's stepdaughter. And I never really felt like I was less than of a daughter or anything different. My biological father, Andre, is still in my life, great relationship, and they've had a great friendship too. And I mean, that is an incredible blessing. I know it's very unique, right? To have your dad and your stepdad have some common interests like motorcycle riding and photography, videography. So I've always said, like, I have 2 dads and I have a mom.
Matt returned to Seattle in the mid-90s. Here he founded Screaming Flea Productions. And created the iconic show, Hoarders.
When people find out I'm responsible for Hoarders, the first reaction is, that is the sickest show I have ever seen.
If there's one thing that really stuck with me, how fearless he was in life, just taking risks. And, he, for most of his career and most of his life, he was embarking on something totally new, that his family and the rest of us had never done before. So it was, it takes a lot of guts to do that kind of thing.
Yeah, it is real, very real.
Matt retired at 60, saying he earned the right to do what he wanted to do. In retirement, he kept busy giving back to his community. He taught Chinese cooking classes, video production in the Chinatown International District, storytelling to graduate students at the University of Washington. And he co-hosted the Chino y Chicano podcast.
You know, my dad was one of those people that was absolutely just an encyclopedia of knowledge. And that was always something that always used to inspire so much awe in me, was just how much he knew. He did his best to share that with other people. And that's what I really loved about him. This thing for me was always to follow your heart and follow your passion, you know, and not be afraid to take a step to try something.
There's nothing more universally Asian than a steaming bowl of rice.
Matt used his storytelling skills to help community organizations with their fundraising. He also produced videos for candidates of color, such as State Senator Joe Nguyen, King County Council Member Gurmai Zahalai, Seattle City Council Member Tanya Wu, and Port Commissioners Sam Cho, Toshiko Hasagawa, and Hamdi Mohammed.
How big is that fish?
Super big.
Matt carved out plenty of time for his grandkids. He loved being a grandfather.
Kian and Sage are so lucky that they got to know him for the time that they did. In his retirement, he was able to spend a lot of time with them when I went back to work. Mom and Matt would watch the kids in that first year of their life. It was just a delight to see their connection to him, often around humor and activities. And of course, eating. He loved cooking for them. A lot of Kian and Sage's personalities have been shaped, their character has been shaped by Matt in many ways.
You love your grandkids, I think, more than your own kids. Because your own kids piss you off. Grandkids would never piss you off.
In May of 2022, Matt found out he had kidney cancer. He took it on, hoping for the best.
He kept track of his medications, all the things that he had to do in order to deal with the side effects. He kind of left me out of that, and I was spared that, and I think he wanted to protect me from that.
Cancer did not stop Matt from giving back to his community. He played a critical role in pushing back against King County's proposed expansion of a homeless shelter near the Chinatown International District. He used his storytelling skills to craft the community response.
Because the story was not about us versus the unhoused. My God, who doesn't have empathy for the unhoused?
Right.
And the shelter that we were pushing against was a good shelter. The real question was how underrepresented communities just don't have a voice.
That was a pretty exciting time with Matt. It was the very first time I've ever really worked with him. And I felt like I was on his team, that we respected each other. He is strong in how he dealt with the group and how he led the way. And my part was making the signs. And this is my background, the art side of it. And also what little Cantonese I could speak worked. This was special. This was special. And it was even more special because he had cancer and he knew I was going to be out there with the elders at the rallies, and I was putting up signs, I was doing all this, and he joined in as best he could. So that was an exciting time because we did not ever expect to, quote, win. I mean, he really cared about the community.
Still, he was realistic about the future.
The future is uncertain, but the future is always uncertain. People don't realize it. The future nothing is promised to you.
Right.
I just have a little more certainty about the finality of things. I mean, I know that, things will end sooner than I would like, but I need to be okay with how my life has gone. And I think it's, There's no regrets.
How would you convince St. Peter that you should be allowed through the pearly gates of heaven?
Because I told the truth about life.